And last but not least, I've already turned it over, which is good. I can tell, I must admit, I was desperate for a holiday, but things happened and my customers needed me, but I think I'm going to take the rest of the weekend off. My brain is a bit frazzled, but anyway, it is what it is. So what I'm going to do is talk about slide decks, presentation decks, and pitching. So slide decks is probably the American term for what we just call PowerPoint presentations. And, you know, for me, this falls into two main areas. There's two sides to it. And again, I almost have two different types of audience. So I'm going to bring this down. So on two different ways, you have, actually, I'm going to go. So fundraising, and this is people with startups that are basically, they want money from someone else for something. And the other one is to do with sales. So I'm actually going to do the sales one first because that is most common to most people most of the time. And actually, yeah, I had a really interesting conversation with a company yesterday, I think it was yesterday, on this very topic. And what's really interesting is that you have, I'm going to switch pens. You have all the normal stuff that you would normally talk about. Who we are, what we do, how it works, what the products are. People often go into far too much detail. For me, a presentation is there to plant the seed, set the dream, and then you build on it afterwards. And often people brain dump too much stuff straight away. But the big thing that I really kind of, believe in is that it's to start with one seed that you plant in the customer's mind to set their mindset on what it is you're trying to do. Then as you progress down, you start with one core idea, which at the start of the presentation just plants the seed of what you're going to talk about, what your product is, what you do, and then how you do it, and more of the complexity follows afterwards. And it's a really important thing that basically the first thing you want to talk about, you would probably have an intro slide, which just has the name, the date, what you're there to do, etc. And that's the hold-in slide before you actually start. But the first one is the problem that you solve. And then secondly, so that could be, I'm trying to think, a business owner who's not making any money. So, that's where, whatever your defined problem is, a company where their sales have dried up and they need a marketing push. It could be that the problem is someone's overweight and they're trying to get their health. Whatever the problem is, I would actually lead with that, because the idea is that acts as the first seed for what you're planting in the presentation. And then straight away, I go high level on the solution. So what you're doing is you're identifying the problem of what it is that you're going to talk about. And so that resonates with the customer. And one of the really important things here is to grab a different pen. Is that I talk about it all the time. It's probably the thing that I talk about most, is to really understand the pain points of the customer. And when you understand the pain points of the customer, that is the most important thing that you want to lead with, because that is what you class as your chatter plan when you do your sales approach. But likewise, when you actually go to present to those people. What's also interesting about pain points is that, again, in the conversation that I had yesterday, it was a very high value technical product that the company sell. And what you have is that with a high value technical sell, you have multiple stakeholders. So you have MD CEO who's interested in commercial risk and profitability and the future direction of the company, all the way down to what would be a technical engineer who might be interested in, is their data correct on what they're collecting for their particular thing. Why this is important is that the chat up lines are important, because when you're trying to approach the company, you approach the CEO with saying that you have a way to reduce commercial risk and improve the market potential for his business. That's what he's interested in. So when you do your sales approach, and it's your chatter plan, so it's your 1-2 line kind of approach, always think of the pain point. Then likewise, if your pain point and you're targeting a technical guy, it's funny because he's not at the point yet where he cares about commercial risk or probably even the profitability. He's just probably interested in his data correctors. In his world, what is he interested in? And you need to know how you profile each customer at each level so you know how to approach them. So if it was just a technical presentation, you would lead with that as the pain point. But actually, if you're presenting to a room of 25 people and 25 stakeholders, what I would do is lead with the CEO level, big grand aim for what the product or service does. And then as you go through your story, when you go into the how, this is where you'd start to do the technical explanation of your product or service, which resonates with the lower tier members of the team that you're trying to engage with. But I wouldn't, if you lead with the technical stuff, you'll lose the CEO, who's actually the decision maker. And actually, once this guy gets a feel for the overall theme of what you're going to talk about, he'll probably actually just trust his guys that the technical stuff they'll assess. But I would always start with the top with sales. So in terms of a sales presentation, what is the problem you're trying to fix? And then likewise, start with the high-level solution. So for instance, are you worried about commercial risk of your product failing in market? And for a CEO, the potential that his products are failing, it upsets their customers, they lose the business, and it goes to competitors is big number one. The solution is, we have a special black box which you can fit, which solves that problem. So that's your first slide. Then you would go into your normal stuff. So then you do that, then you go into the normal stuff and then work your way through the story. And for me, that's one of the crucial things that I'm working on a client slide deck at the moment. Start with the problem, pitch the high level idea, then go into the detail is kind of really important. In terms of fundraising, I'm going to switch pens again because I can. I'm going to go purple. Okay, so this is different. But when you're looking to raise money, this is all about your big idea. So probably don't want it to be more than 15 slides. Because what the whole point of this is, especially if it's a pitch, it's exactly that. It's a pitch. It's not a due diligence document. So it's all about selling the big, grand idea for what you're looking to do, to get people interested, get them on the hook. And then likewise in this example, this is the pitch. Then the due diligence and stuff will happen over time, but it's don't try and do it all up front. So the first thing for me you want to start with is your mission statement. This is also your why. So for instance, with the Roadmap MBA, our mission statement and our why is all about making business education accessible. And everything that I'm doing, from a live stream to the language we use, to the layout on the paper, to the fact that we do it on paper and online, and everything is built around making business education accessible. So that's our why. Next is about the problem. This again is the problem that you're looking to fix. Again, it could be the amount of plastic in the ocean, it could be CO2 emissions from cars, whatever your problem is that you want to fix, that's what we want to do next. And again, if you can qualify that with market size type stuff, do it. Again, this is all about selling the dream, but you want lots of nice graphics. You don't want a lot of text heavy stuff. It's all about building the dream. So you've got the problem. Next is the high level solution. You see the link there, both the same. That's again what you want to lead with. Next, it's all about the team. One of the big things that people actually look for, and actually talking to an investor yesterday, he said that there was a product that he saw which came out of the Y Combinator, which is a thing in San Francisco, which is a really high tech. It's like the Harvard Business School for tech startups. It's a really big thing. But it's if you buy into the team and their passion and the workload and that they have a drive, it's super, super important. You do often see this, especially with engineering businesses. They often hide behind the product and that they lead with that. But actually people want to know, arguably also true in the sales context, who is the team who's actually going to be doing the work? Because that's what people buy into, arguably more than anything else. So we've got mission statement 1, problem 2, solution 3, 4 is the team, 5 is basically, it's the roadmap, it's the milestones, it's to go from where you are today, what are the stages, how long will it take, and what do you need. And actually what people want, it's part of the reason why it's the name, the Roadmap MBA, but it's to give people confidence to say, look, we know what we're doing, we know how long it'll take, this is the burn rate, and actually it's that kind of process. Next one is basically, I was going to say value, but it's all about the money. How much you're looking to raise, because again, you've now set the scene. People might rarely buy into it, they love you and the team. But if you need £100 million and the investor only has 500k, it's good to kind of get that out first. So I would fit this in. But then what you start to then roll into is the anticipated questions. So this is where things that you expect to come up and things that will be in the buyer's mind, in the investor's mind. So this is almost where if you've pre-thought through what they're going to be looking for, things that they might have questions about, is Uber a competitor, whichever, it's always good to kind of, anticipate those to actually show that you've thought it through. Next, as you kind of go through your journey, I would start to go into your technology and the solution, but you've already sold the dream. This is to now go into more of the justification on what it is, how it works, and some of the detail. Next, you would then go into your revenue model. This is one of the most important things that most people miss, and it's how is the business going to make money? This is arguably the most important thing, because you're not going to get investment from someone that just wants to literally just give you money for you to spend on whatever you want, unless there's a clear return on investment. And this again fits really closely with the roadmap of how do you drive revenue, how do you get user experience, how do you get the knowledge, and how do you learn and iterate quickly, that this is all part of the pitch. And then last but not least, that's number 7. Why now? One of the big things which is true with any business is always looking at actually what's the timing, why now? Why not do it 2 years ago? Why not wait another 2 years to do it? And this is where it could be if you launched video conferencing software in 2020, or realistically a few years before that, it was the perfect time as the pandemic hit. The market has changed, and in the course we look at this under both SWOT analysis and PESTEL analysis to really look at how has consumer behavior changed over time. And actually now, for instance, because of COVID, because of Zoom, because of everything else, working from home, people are now much more open to online learning and that kind of thing. That likewise, part of the reason with the Roadmap MBA, we do mix the traditional workbook, textbook stuff with online video learning and then interactive classrooms, is because arguably 2 years ago it wouldn't have been ready. But then likewise, now it's a concept that people are used to. And it's just interesting that how whatever your product or service is, being able to articulate why it's the right time. Because the big thing that people are really interested in, I've run out of room, is basically that with most industries, you do have so if you have a time and then market size, a lot of industries start slow, and that gestation period could be, I'm trying to think in say social media, if the internet properly launched in say 1990, but actually Facebook didn't come around to like 2004, and we had one or two, or was it MySpace was like 2002. So you'd almost have 1990, 2002 it started to pick up. It was at 2004, Facebook. and then it did that. And then arguably now, what we're in 2021, what you've kind of got, and the reason why you asked the why now question, is that people are looking to catch and invest in a new product or service, basically here, so there's room to grow. As well, actually, if you are launching into a saturated market, which is basically what this is, if you were to launch a new Facebook equivalent in 2021, you're probably going to struggle. And that's why it's really important to answer the why now question. So that was a few minutes on basically sales pitches, but likewise investor pitches. Within the course, we go into, well, it's 216 pages, all about building the background on your strategy and who you are and what you do and how it works and the dream. But essentially what we do is that this whole thing turns into your business strategy, and it covers everything, arguably about everything, even down to for business owners that eventually want to exit their business. We actually even cover how to maximize your valuation. And we cover the entire journey all the way through to basically maximize your ability to do this. A pitch deck is how you sell the dream. It's that first seed that you want to plant that then can grow over time. So you don't have to do it all at once. There is support to help you if you want to do that, or likewise, if you have an existing business which does what it does, and that will be true in 99% of kind of cases, still consider to really explain, understand the customer, but then explain to them right up front what the pain point is that you solve before you go into your regular stuff.